It's my dream too, Paolo. Yeah. A bridge between the people and the conventional medicine and the science in physics, in epigenetic, and in chemistry. And I'm Josef Graspeutner from Traunstein in Bavaria, like nearby the Chiemsee. I'm a practitioner, Heilpraktiker called, or natural doctor called in US. And I have a surgery, and we are 3 people in the surgery, a pediatrician, a colleague from Christa Einsiedler and I, and we are here in the homeopathy house since 24 years, and I'm practitioner from 30 years, and I have over 6,000 people in my practice in this last year, in this years, and all the people come with all illnesses and disease, and they have so many fears muss mir helfen, so viele verschiedene Krankheiten, die sie 20 Jahre hatten, also chronische Krankheiten, die nicht besser wurden in der konventionellen Medizin. Wenn du mir das übersetzt, bitte.
It usually show up with illnesses, chronic illnesses they had over 20 years.
Yeah.
And they get help in his office, and which he shares with 2 colleagues.
Yeah. And I will cooperate
with a hospital.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially in the usual medical service like chemotherapy or radiation, and homeopathy is used to lower the effects of it, mm-hmm. or lower the side effects. And this is the start of the cooperation, and Josef hopes still that it gets more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and I can join in with a practical example. I have been bitten by a redback spider 2 times in the last 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. You know, a redback spider is the Latrodectus. It's very poisonous spider. Mm-hmm. The first time I didn't see the spider. So the whole day went a bit weird. And in the evening, I got cramps I never experienced in my life. The whole abdomen cramping. The liver, the gallbladder, the intestines, big intestine, small intestine, stomach, ovaries, inguinal channel, everything. So I had to go as an emergency patient to the hospital. They looked at me and tried to find something, and finally found an old gallbladder stone and said, this might be the cause. And then I have been situated in a room with 4 other women. One was suffering from some stomach illness. Another had mastectomia. 1 breast was taken off. The 3rd one had some uterus disease. And we all had the same treatment. Nothing to eat, nothing to drink, a lot of painkillers and intravenous infusions and antibiotics. When I went into the hospital, only CRP was high. When I went out of the hospital after 7 days, because I thought they were going to kill me, all the liver transaminases were skyrocketing. The second time the spider did bite me, I did see the spider. And I called an Indian colleague and I said, dear Priya, I need help. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, I know, but the spider did bite me. And we went with 1 dose of apicinum, a few doses of Latrodectus mactans. I only had a bit of the heart sensations. I only had a bit of the breathing trouble. I didn't face any intestine trouble, and we finished the therapy after 1 week. So this is the difference between conventional medicine and homeopathy. This is something I can share at the moment, and I would have been very happy if I would have met an homeopath in that clinic who might have seen the symptoms, or at least prescribe belladonna or something. So just to show the possibilities and yes, it was a very hard experience, but a very nice experience for me to see the difference homeopathy can make. And the difference a homeopath can make, a well-trained homeopath can make.
Yes.
Which is one of the other problems.
Mm-hmm.
If a homeopath is not so well-trained, that might be trouble. But as I had all the interviews with the Indian colleagues, I didn't know whom to call, who has a lot of knowledge about animals and spiders and so on. And yes, today I would like to talk with you about connecting with each other, not only connecting conventional medicine to homeopathy, but connecting speaker to speaker or doctor to doctor from country to country. Because in each country, there's special knowledge. In each country, we have different conditions. When I think of the Turkish people, only the doctors are allowed to give homeopathic medicines, but they don't have doctors to train them in homeopathy. They need laymen to train them in homeopathy. Very interesting coincidence. In Russia, we have a faculty of homeopathy, but they are not really teaching. We have it at the university, but they're not really doing research. It's not really teaching. People are, or our colleagues in Russia are tied to their own circles. So what ways can we find to help each other and to connect more? Who has ideas?
Well, I can try to answer something. It is a very great problem, and there are many different perspectives to see, to watch at it. Okay, one of these is that we should put together our skills as professionals or homeopaths. For example, I didn't know the other participating to this group before this project was built, and I'm very happy now. But I don't know what they do enough to think something about what they can do for me and what I can do if the case for them. Okay, but maybe as we have a common theme, a common dream in a certain instance, maybe we could do something, but we have to join. This is the first thing I want to tell you. And moreover, we should, as homeopaths all over the world, we should have a container, a common container, in order that the cases we have, the results we have, can be shared, can be collected and then shared and spread all over the world. So we should have a project, a common project, because, for example, in India, there are a lot of very good homeopaths, and they share their cases in a spot way. I do in this way, I do in this way. They go to YouTube, or they publish in the Facebook. But I think that this kind of efforts we all do are just like seeds drawn into the marble, okay, into pavement. they cannot grow. They don't produce nothing because anything because they are not coordinated. Maybe there is something more that we can do also in this way. I don't know. I also say, and I finish, that we all have different skills. We all have different perspectives, different ideas, and we should do something. We should find a synergy. Otherwise, each of us will try to invent the wheel again. Okay, I will invent the wheel, you will invent the wheel, and so on. But these kind of efforts are not so productive as they could be.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that really makes sense. One thing I want to share, have you heard about Clifical?
Yes, yes. Carlo Rezzani is just, I think, 40 kilometers from my town. 40 kilometers only. It's very close. Clifical, the one of the leader of the project Clifical, the founder of the Clifical project is, I know him since, I don't know, 30 years, something like that.
Oh, amazing. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I love what you have to say about, it seems like there's a lot of ineffectual effort. There's a lot of isolated work that's happening that, if brought together, could be really synergistic and used really efficiently. Part of that kind of continuing is it seems like there could be an orchestrated alliance or network that is established, and there is a particular organization or representative or group, in any of the participating countries that really there can be whatever level meetings that there are, understanding like, what is it that we actually need? Like you would mention, Marianne, about, in some places it's about training. Like, we've got the ability, but we don't have the training, and so this is a need that we have in order to expand homeopathy, in this particular country, because every country's needs is going to be different, and being able to have voice to what are those needs, and can anyone within this collective, offer support to that. One of the things that I think, and this is, I'm sure, a big question, but another thing that comes up for me is, at times it can be really challenging to support someone else when we don't have our own, kind of ducks in a row, so to speak. And it seems like homeopathy in many places across the globe there are challenges that each country is already facing within its own self-organization structure, and also, its own challenges that it faces. And I think one of those things is also the busyness. I'm not sure what each of your experiences are, with your own personal lives and practice and with your colleagues. I know here, at least, many homeopaths that I speak with are incredibly busy. Many of them are finding it challenging, perhaps financially, or perhaps with family, social, all the dynamics. And my viewpoint is, until that stress can be really stabilized, it makes it challenging for that person to think beyond themselves and to think into this greater possibility of homeopathy at large, and also not just personally, but then nationally and then globally, So I think that we have a really important challenge and opportunity there to have some structure in place to support individuals in their own personal journey with homeopathy and their own practices, their own financial well-being, their own stability in the medicine, and then also creating structure around that, organizations, networks, whatever the case might be, that becomes this like overarching great collaboration. And I'm curious, I'm not sure exactly what that would look like in terms of the structure, but I mean, practicing homeopaths, right? Like, perhaps it comes through homeopathic software. Perhaps it comes through, key book distributors. Perhaps it comes through, it would be great to capitalize on structures that are already in place with already have networks of people that we don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. And, homeopaths, what are they using? Software, books, schools, perhaps a professional organization, things that already exist that can become a platform through which, we give voice. Those are some of my initial thoughts.
This is a good thought. It only tackles the problem that we have homeopaths who don't like the way other homeopaths work.
This I think this is the challenge of the times right now in the 21st century is holding space for the duality that we have politically, personally, religiously, and I think how interesting and perfect it even comes in the dichotomy of the way that one homeopathic practitioner practices compared to another. Even though we're in the same bubble in one way, there is this polarity that exists. And maybe there's a way for us to be that leading example of holding space for differing viewpoints so that we can have collaboration for a greater cause rather than focusing on the things that we are different, instead focusing on the things that unite us. Because I think you raised such an important point. There are such strong opinions and beliefs within the homeopathic community about how homeopathy should be practiced. And that can be a challenging obstacle. And I think we must set whatever structure comes in place. We get to set the example for that.
And you stay together in US? All the doctors stay together with homeopathy, or
do we all stay together?
You stay together. You stay together in homeopathy. All the people there in US.
I think there's a lot. I think we have a lot of work to do to be really united here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have work to do.
As far as I could see, yes.
Why? What is happening?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have the answer for that, but some of the things that I see are, there's a lot of beliefs and homeopathic politics that divide the profession. There are differing organizations and there's differing schools of thought. And some of those aspects, I think, divide people. We tend to associate and keep within our immediate circle people who are most like us. So whether it's our school, whether it's the software that we use, our style of practicing homeopathy, and I don't really see a cohesive central organization that unites the whole profession. I don't see that. Yeah. And I think that would be, I don't know how we get there, but I think that would be, our ultimate goal is have something that binds us, regardless of our differences.
And this is exactly what, in my opinion, is missing in homeopathy on a global scale.
Yes, I think this is the problem. The problem, but the fact is that there is no an Empire State Building out in New York City, because yes, when we watch that building with our left brain, okay, with the rational brain, we see the height is like that, and the width is like that, and so on. There are some rational points numbers that we can collect, and we all agree with that. But when we watch the Empire State Building with our right brain, each of us can perceive something different. There is someone that perceives the greatness of the United States of America, and another person will see, I don't know, the foolishness of this kind of wasting of money, and another one will see, I don't know, a symbol, sex symbol. Yes, because there is a phallus, you know, and so on. So what is the Empire State Building? We don't know what is really. And this is also what happens with homeopathy. And in this, so what I mean is we cannot change our minds. We are all different. Homeopathy will be fragmented. The only difference will be we can obtain through our results. Homeopathy with best results will survive. This is very important. In my small experience, my little experience, this is very important. But I think, of course, there are some institutions that are existing and they're very good. We should think to what else we can do. So what I think is the main problems are teaching. Of course, for someone, it maybe there are problems of income, of money income. And then we have some kind of hindrance, political hindrance, obstacles. No, is it a correct word in English? Obstacles, yes?
Obstacles, mm-hmm.
Yes. But I think that the most important thing, in my opinion, is marketing. And with marketing, I mean sharing results. Because you, Marianne, told us about a problem, a personal problem, a very, very experienced and skillful professional. But of course, if you have a food problem, for example, and there is no any conventional treatment that can help you, and you have treated and you have tried also surgery, but no results, and physiotherapy and no results. At that point, what do? You find something else because you are open, because you resonate with the solution. And at that time, for example, through the internet or in any other way, you will be open to find something else, even if you are a very prejudiced with a lot of bias, a man or a woman with a lot of bias, because you have a need. So we should create a resonance to these kind of persons. There are a lot, because conventional medicine can do a lot of things. Of course, it's not bad, but sometimes it cannot have results. And we can, as homeopaths, give our results. So, in my opinion, we should find a way to make to people arrive this message that homeopathy does work. And we can do only pointing to the right brain, not to the left brain, not through research papers. Of course, these also are important, but for this there are institutions, and homeopathic institutions, and these are very important, of course. But I do believe that what is missing is something pointing to the right half of the brain, okay, to the right function of the brain, because in reality, brain works as a whole, and so there is not left or right. But you know, this is what I think. We should find a way to make this great and huge amount of cases we have all over the world to arrive to a common container or something. I don't know how, maybe an open project, but then we should spread it all over the world. So that when a person has a pain, something that he cannot cure with conventional homeopathy, and he will be resonant with that kind of solution, we'll find it.
This is an interesting point of view, and I remember my interview with Professor Pradeep Gupta, who said, impossible is nothing. And this was his credo, and he does a lot of video documentation of his patients. And he especially points out the emotional situation in his hospital, in his college, with his clients, and the way they connect to people. And he is quite well known, even in Europe, and I guess in the US too. Or not, Timothy?
Well, the patients need help. We have problems all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of.
Yes, and And homeopathy is so different in understanding, right?
It's different in understanding, yeah.
Yeah. And what can we do to speak with one voice for homeopathy? What can we do one voice together? What help us to speak one voice? Also mit einer Stimme sprechen. Ist das richtig übersetzt? So wie
Yeah, talking with one voice is what you're thinking of.
Mhm.
And reaching people, especially clients, with that one voice.
Mhm.
Possible clients.
Yeah.
Still suffering from not having found the doctor who helps them.
Why?
Yeah, they usually don't find somebody because they don't know. They don't know about the possibilities that exist.
Yes, this is the main point for me.
And then people are anxious. I have been bitten enough by poisonous things. I know that I can turn to my homeopath. I know that I don't need the hospital once I see the animal who bites me. Once I can detect what poison it is. Other people don't trust in it. They are so anxious. They see a poisonous animal, very anxious, and then conventional therapy goes on. And this is the same in cancers, the same in kidney disease, it's same in liver disease. The moment people are anxious, they turn to conventional medicine. The moment they are disappointed that conventional medicine can't help, they turn to naturopathic medicine.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you really want to catch people, you have to talk them out of the anxiety and to give a naturopathic solution the first choice, not the conventional medicine.
And at least to know there's a choice.
At least to know that there's a real good choice.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, you know, I really notice more and more is people aren't necessarily even aware. I know it's come up a couple of times even in this conversation, you know, people aren't even necessarily aware of the options that they have available to them. Mm-hmm. And I love what you had to say. Fear is such a driving factor. And I mean, I'm guilty of that too, you know, like fear and anxiety around health and how that drives our behaviors, how that drives our actions into the type of medicine that we pursue. And so having this, you know, approach of letting people know of the options that they have, in a way kind of popularizing. Someone emailed me after the summit and was like, thank you so much for your work in popularizing homeopathy. And I like had never even thought about that was what we were doing. And I was like, I guess that's actually what I want to do is popularize homeopathy, make it popular, make it known, let people be aware of it as a possibility for them. So that's a one-prong approach. Like we get to promote the medicine so that people are aware that it is an option for them. And two, to have trust in their own bodies, to have trust in the options that are available to them, like you say, including homeopathy. Conventional medicine is not bad. Conventional medicine is great. It offers so many different possibilities that not every other medicine can offer. It has its place, it has its time, and like you're mentioning, therapeutic order, you know, using the least invasive tool necessary in that moment for that person with whatever is going on for them and with what they will accept as a possible solution for, you know, their particular problem. And there's some cool work I think that we can do with that.
Yes, maybe doing really catchy videos on cases.
Yeah.
And surrounding them with a bit of knowledge.
Yeah. And I love what you were mentioning about, you know, there are so many cases that are, you know, really incredible cases all over the world. Having someone or something, I mean, I don't know if cliff-a-call is the solution or not the solution, but I know that's something that's already in place. Mm-hmm. having that and having, you know, someone or association, organization, business, whatever, market that, promote that, share that information in a very modern, appealing sort of way so that it catches people's attention, not just people who are already interested, right? We don't want to just preach to the choir, but to people who have, this is their first exposure perhaps to homeopathy, like, wow, that's wild, that's interesting, that's good to know.
I just saw we have a colleague, a senior homeopath from India watching. Dear Mita, thank you for joining us. And Mita, if you have any ideas on collaboration in homeopathy, please feel free to write, and I will give all your questions or information to our speakers here. That's very nice. So we open up the space. Indian homeopath is watching. Very nice.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So I know that Professor Pradip Gupta has a lot of video documented cases. And Mita, who is here, is a specialist on treating autism with homeopathy. And she has a lot of documented cases too. And she's trying to help people in Africa, where we have a lot of those problems. So I don't know, dear colleagues, maybe we should select a topic and start with one topic and invite people speakers from all over the world on one kind of disease that was treated with homeopathy.
I think that makes sense. You know, people care, when people are scanning information, they care about the things that are most relevant to them. And if I'm a person who's suffering from eczema, from psoriasis, from irritable bowel syndrome, I am paying attention to information that I see that relates to me. And if we have a focus group, you know, or a topic that really focuses on something that can appeal to a large population of people, like a condition or disease that appeals to a wide population, that will catch people's attention and interest for someone who's experiencing that, that could be a really practical way of moving forward.
Yes, I think, Marianne, you are right, because we have to deal with motivation, not only motivation of patients, but also motivation of professionals. So if we have a main theme, for example, I don't know, headache, for example, it is a very common issue, and we say, let's collect all the cases, all experts, all people, professional homeopaths having cases or having their ideas about this kind of disease to sorry for my English, I repeat again. My brain, Italian brain, runs much more than my English one. Okay. So what I mean is that the problem is that there is not a problem of results. We have a lot of cases, okay? In India, in Italy, and all over the world, we have cases. Maybe we have not a lot of video cases. Maybe in India, where homeopathy is very common, they have more. But anyway, the attention of people in the internet, in the web, is not more than 2-3 minutes. You know, so you have to be very concise, very concise. So maybe that video cases are not the best choice. Anyway, we should create a common theme and say who has something to share. We can collect it, and then we or someone else can spread it all over the web. And starting from one single disease instead of everything. So we should make some mapping information, spread this information to the homeopathic community, so that each professional will be motivated to share his cases. This is my idea. Sorry for my English talk.
English is perfect. That's awesome. It's a great idea.
So this is the problem.
So starting with one disease, connecting globally to speakers, getting in cases and getting in speakers who talk about some structural things we already can detect. Let's say around headache.
Yes, but the most important is to have cases. For me, it is to have cases. So it is the most important is we can motivate our colleagues to share brief cases, and moreover, not for professional, conventional doctors, but for people. So simply with the simple words, what in terms of experience, in terms of emotions, in terms of quality of life, what did happen to that person before and after the treatment. This is very important. We have to potentiate, to empower our communication skills. This is missing in homeopathy because we cannot recover our fragmented world. We are fragmented as a person. So it is not possible to empty the sea. The sea is the sea. So let's do something, let's adapt to the situation. And this is the point we can do something.
Yes, and then if we are going globally, we have the language situation. So we have either to decide that we are going for the English language or Spanish, which is both languages are widely spoken. Or we say we translate everything, but then it's going to be some kind of chaos or there's extensive amount of money needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And in what languages to translate then? Should we select 10 languages, 20 languages? It's another kind of fragmentation we need to think about.
I'm sure I'm biased, but you know, the feedback that I get from people. So that one of the other things I do is I run Naturopathic CE, which is an online continuing education platform. And the feedback that we get from people is, as long as there are subtitles in English, obviously not everyone, but many people report like, I can do it. Like I may not be able to take, hear auditorily like English, but if there are subtitles in English, at least I can take my time and go through. So, I mean, one of the ones that I would propose would be English. Yep. Very important that there are English subtitles present. I'm not familiar with all the subtitle programs, but once the subtitles are inserted in English, my guess would be it wouldn't be terribly expensive to have a multitude of different languages that are also available, by just simply changing the text and then exporting, the video or using whatever closed captioning program there might be. So if we can get subtitles of one in one language, it may be very easy to have subtitles available in other language, even if the audio is not, in someone's native language.
That could work, but even only the idea having English language and English subtitles will multiply the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people at least can read the English.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
Josef, what would you say to one topic and joint co-work?
Wir haben in Traunstein ganz was Kleines. Wir versuchen in Traunstein ja seit 30 Jahren eine Qualitätskonferenz monatlich abzuhalten.
They have an offline meeting at his place every month. Just a little thing like what we are talking about now.
Ja.
Amazing.
Das ist ein Forschungsprojekt.
It's a research project.
wie können wir zusammen mit einer Stimme sprechen und wie können wir voneinander lernen und eine Schwarmintelligenz bilden?
How can we learn from each other? How can we connect to each other? And how can we create a hive mind or a hive intelligence?
Und
I'm not a translator.
und diese Gruppe zusammen entwickelt sich immer stärker, also das kommt den Patienten extrem zugute. Die Patienten werden mit der gleichen Sprache liebevoll, unterstützend und den anderen Kollegen wertschätzend behandelt.
What they see is that it serves the clients, I guess because they share so much knowledge that the clients really get advantage from that.
We do it for the patients.
They do it for, okay.
Ja. Wir versuchen, eine Stimme zu werden, mit der wir den Patienten mit allen Möglichkeiten, die es in der Homöopathie gibt, seinen Weg gehen zu lassen.
Mm-hmm. They are trying to get one voice talking so that the client can find its way or his way in homeopathy.
Mit allen rechtlichen, also wir haben ja rechtliche Probleme, weil Heilpraktiker nicht jede Krankheit behandeln dürfen, die Ärzte schon. Aber trotzdem ist es so, dass die Heilpraktiker dann die Patienten, die sie nicht behandeln dürfen, an die Klinik oder an die Ärzte weitergeben.
Mm-hmm. It's all about sharing knowledge between doctors and naturopaths, because naturopaths are not allowed to treat every kind of illness while doctors are, but maybe sometimes just the knowledge that needs to be connected.
Der Vorteil für den Patienten ist, dass er, wenn er lieber zum Heilpraktiker geht, er trotzdem die Sicherheit hat, dass der Heilpraktiker ihn rechtzeitig an den Doktor überweist.
The advantage for the client is that if the client prefers a naturopath to a conventional doctor or a doctor even who works with homeopathy, the client knows that he is transferred in time if the condition gets too worse.
Ja.
Too worse for the naturopath.
Ja. Und auf Augenhöhe, dass wir miteinander sprechen und in der Gruppe miteinander auf Augenhöhe sprechen. Und wenn das im Kleinen geht, also Small Group, dann kann ich mir vorstellen, dass das auch global geht.
Now we are getting to a very interesting point. Paolo was talking about the left and the right brain needing to be balanced, and Josef-Karl is talking about the situation between homeopathic doctors and naturopaths that has to be balanced too, and where we need to offer appreciation to each other.
Mhm.
So we have two things that need to be balanced to get really good results for our clients.
Mhm.
Because it's about the method and the client and not about the status and the homeopathic religious system.
No religious systems. The system is for the clients. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is what I said. It's not about being a Kantianian or not a Kantianian. It's about helping the client.
Mhm.
I agree.
But I see how important the balancing thing is. And it's not only balancing between the client, the doctor, and the naturopath, it's balancing the right brain and the left brain. Not only being analytical, being emotionally attractive as well. We didn't really think about that because homeopathy is so analytical.
Yes.
It is for those colleagues who really can process data very properly and very good in remembering. But it's usually not for the emotionally or social very active colleagues. They find the difficulties in remembering everything. But of course, they are more attractive to the clients. They have more charisma. It's natural.
Mm-hmm.
So when we want to get more, want to be seen more in the public, we need to get the emotionally strong colleagues more forward, not the analytical ones.
Well, I do believe the most important thing in homeopathy, maybe the only one, are results. And this is the most important because I always do not remember the English word for that, but I have to check on the internet, otherwise I cannot go forward in my sharing. Word of mouth. No? When you say something you are satisfied as a patient with your homeopath, and you say to your dad or to your uncle, I've been benefited by this man, so go you also. So this is what I mean. Word of mouth in English. Oh, I don't remember.
Mundpropaganda. Mundpropaganda was the word you were searching for.
Yes, right. So this is the most important. So in this sense, homeopathy is a very ground-based to facts, to symptoms, to material medical, to proving, to organ. And this is very important, of course. Then after that, we have to share the results we have. First of all, we have to reach the results, we have to reach the competences, the skills required to have this kind of results. And so this is a issue that relates to teaching and to good practice and so on. And then at that point, we have to share it. And the first way to share is the most important way to engine to share is the word of mouth. You give a result and you are sure that someone will come back to you tomorrow. But the word of mouth can be empowered through the internet. This is what the sense, the issue, the pillar of my message. Mm-hmm. That's it, nothing else. Very simple.
I understand that, and this word of mouth is obviously more attractive the more emotional it is.
Yes, of course.
Timothy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, well, what I really hear or what I see is results, I think, are really important. And I think what it is that results provide is they provide trust and confidence that something will actually work for them. And so I think results are one aspect, but I don't think it's the only aspect. And Marianne, what I love that you're sharing also is about emotions. 100% of decisions that we make are emotional in origin. And even if we're using analytical factors, the reason that we choose our decision is because of our emotion behind that analytical factor. And so what we need to do is, if we're going to be really good marketers of our profession of homeopathy, we need to instill confidence and trust in emotional abundance of people who really believe in homeopathy and are excited, believe in it, trust it, and have confidence in it. And we can use things, like the results, and also, why does word of mouth work? Is it's like so close to me, and they had this experience that gives me trust, that gives me confidence, that gives me comfort in knowing that maybe it could actually be possible for me too. And I think that's the work that we have to do as a profession, is using all the tools that we have available to us in order to create this sense of trust with people and confidence in our profession, in this medicine, so that people will actually choose to explore it.
Yes, and I'm still thinking on what we talked initially, that there is the possibility of doing a summit where we choose a diagnosis.
I think for me personally, this is just I think skin is I don't know, you guys could please disagree. Skin is too hard. You can't touch anything that's too, like, you can't obviously touch cancer. You can't touch any vaccine. You can't touch anything that's too politically charged. That's not going to work. It's got to be something that's, and also I don't think acutes are going to work, like something that's crazy acute, because even though it's a simple, maybe a simpler treatment principle, what we want are people who are emotionally invested in the chronicity of their condition. So acutes can't work either. And it's got to be something that is like relatively easily identifiable and a patient who is readily responsive to treatment. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I do that deduction, something that is gastrointestinal, something like IBS, is something that really stands out. For me, my experience in working with patients with IBS is they are incredibly sensitive. They are also incredibly responsive. It's something that you are going to notice an immediate benefit from if something is working. So for me, and there's also a lot of people who experience IBS. So for me, my proposal would be initially, and I'm obviously open to hearing other ideas, would be, you know, maybe like an IBS type of thing where we've got a responsive general constitution, temperament, and something that is not going to raise red flags with, you know, big pharma or like key political organizations, or has a huge emotional charge behind people, and also has enough of a pain point for people who don't want, you know, to be living with IBS, the symptoms of IBS on a regular basis, and something that they can immediately notice the change in.
Yes, definitely it should be something with great suffering. Like the intestine bowel, this bowel syndrome or migraine, if it has a lot of suffering behind people, and we know that it is a syndrome which is hardly cured by conventional medicine, there's the clientele. Whether we think of fibromyalgia or rheumatism or bowel syndrome or migraine, those could be the topics. Mm-hmm. And we even could invite conventional colleagues to talk on the diagnosis, to talk on the pathology, mm-hmm. to talk on the blood tests we can do.
Agreed. And I think even naturopathic, you know, I mean, naturopathic therapy. I mean, why not have the accepting disposition that it sounds like we are hearing is really important even within our profession. Why not have that without our profession as well? You know, have it be a truly inclusive model that is, Joseph, as you mentioned, patient-centered, you know, really client-focused on the options that are available to them.
Yes, and we still could tweak it a bit that we go with, let's say, 60 or 65% of homeopaths, and give a voice to the naturopaths, to the spagyric people, and so on, so on, so on.
Mm-hmm. Seems reasonable.
Because if it is a bigger syndrome, we will need things like nutrition on top.
Yeah, it should definitely be a focus. Yeah, absolutely.
We have somebody from Germany now in the chat who is situated in Koblenz and has done masters in homeopathy and is very much interested to work in research of homeopathy. Maybe that colleague wants to write a question. I don't know. We will see. But it could be a lot of fun doing a summit like that. Mm-hmm. And we could join forces. Maybe we could ask Matthias, who unfortunately hasn't time today, Matthias Berner from United to Heal. He wanted to see what we were talking about. But if we could do something like that together, it would be a very interesting thing. We could share the work, so nobody has to be overworked. Timothy and me, we know what the summit is.
So much fun.
Much fun, much work.
A lot of fun and a lot of work.
And flow. Mm-hmm.
And we could add the live modules because by now I'm used to them.
Mm-hmm.
even with all the internet drama and the not working drama behind. I usually have 1 or 2 backups in different countries. We learned that this is important, that we can be backup from Australia and from another part of Europe.
I think that a summit is a good idea, of course. I do believe that the most critical, factor or actor we can do is to find a way in order to collect, I repeat again, to collect a huge amount, a large number of cases, and then to spread it. What I mean is that a lot of homeopaths, of professionals, will miss our meeting, our summit, because they say, okay, I know colon bowel syndrome, I don't want to, or migraine or something else. But if we all can say, if you give us your cases, we can spread it all over the world, they will have a motivation to do that. And so we can point to their right brain. And this is very important. It is a subtle thing, but this is very important for
me. What you said is right, but the kind of summit would be targeted to laymen from the marketing perspective. It would be targeted to laymen, and we would have speakers who can explain it to laymen. And of course, we could do an additive YouTube channel with a playlist where we have all the testimonials in. That wouldn't be too complicated, as long as the speakers who participate would come up, each one with 20 to 50 cases.
Okay.
That wouldn't be too complicated. What do you say, Timothy?
No,
yeah, and I think really hearing what would be very powerful is hearing in the words of the actual clients the success that they experienced, and having, you know, a mini testimonial video, Paolo, like you mentioned, top minute or 2, where you get maybe 5 to 10 people who are like, oh my gosh, homeopathy changed my life, fade out, you know, like blah, 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 you know, like having that engagement with people, hearing other people's story about their success with homeopathy, specifically on whatever topic, you know, that we have addressed. That's really powerful information for people to experience and highly motivating.
Yeah, we could do group calls like we are doing here, making clients talk to each other and do this as a little video. There are a lot of possibilities when you think about it. You need to select a very painful topic where a lot of suffering is in. And then, yes, there's a lot of client initiatives which we could talk in to send us people. Whether we think of rheumatism or fibromyalgia or bowel syndrome or migraine, there are a lot of initiatives. It's just the question, do we want to do it or not? It is possible. And it could be something that would give homeopathy a broader audience. But what we did by now is, me too and Timothy too, we went for homeopathy summit. We went for homeopathy, we didn't went for a diagnosis. We didn't go for a diagnosis. This would be an absolutely new entrance, because usually as homeopaths, we don't go by the diagnosis. So we don't think of doing it that way. We go by the summary of the symptoms or the cause of things.
Which is not how, that's not how convention thinks.
No. And if we want to meet the conventional people, we need to meet them with the diagnosis.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we can have homeopaths who explain a bit about the organon on very low level, a bit about what it means to go by the cause, a bit of what it means to go by the development of a disease.
Yes, this is good. I think at the end of this kind of summit we have suggested now, we should make a summary, a brief summary, where only the video testimonials of people will be included, and a brief, very brief cut, or a very brief speech, I don't know, 1 minute for each of the participants. In order to have a brief video, and not a long video as a summit is, but a brief video where that subject will be summarized. So I will tell something about migraine, for example, and Timothy and Josef and so on, briefly, and then about homeopathy, what can do, or something like that, and then some video testimonial. This is a 5 minutes or 4 minutes video, very short and very impressive, as Timothy is suggesting us. It is very important at the end of the summit, because people will have no time to watch a long summit. Someone will do it, but maybe the majority of people are not able to, because they are scanning, they are zapping on the internet, and because they have a migraine. What can I do? I tried everything, but what can I do? Oh God, 3 minutes. I will give my chance to homeopathy, to this 3 video about the subject. This is very important.
We could do it when we combine it with a video channel, so that we are easily found. What do you say, Timothy?
Still thinking about it all, but yeah, no, I think that sounds, I think easily digestible is good. I think there's a balance though, because I don't want people watching very short videos that are not necessarily helpful and then dismissing homeopathy, saying they've given it a chance. So I am hesitant about that approach as well. I think there's got to be a balance.
Balance again.
You know, and kind of seeing what that's like. I do hear you though, Paolo, like it needs to be accessible. It needs to be digestible. And it needs to be presented in an engaging way, you know, however that is, whether it's the speaker who's engaging, the platform of delivery is engaging, the content is engaging, like it needs to be easily accessible, easily engaging.
Mm-hmm.
But the shorter the better. The shorter the better, and the more engaging the better.
Mm-hmm.
So a balance.
Now, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But it's possible again. It's just we not just need to think about it and develop a strategy. Wouldn't be impossible.
It'd be easy. Yeah.
And we could join in the Indians who have the hospitals and treat those conditions in hospitals.
That would be cool. Yeah.
As well as their daily clinic as the interns they have. I'm thinking of Naiminat Hospital and College.
And your dream, Marie-Anne, is your dream is TV, and you can Datenbank, du hast eine Datenbank im Traum, im Kopf, auf der wir Ekzeme, Kopfschmerzen, Migräne.
He's thinking even broader. Josef-Karl is thinking if we do one topic, we can do many topics and create a database where people can access. If you have eczema, you need to know that. You have the testimonials here and you have the specialists here. And go by the diagnosis, which would be a very modern access, which we have to talk over with people like Georgos Vithulkas, who might not agree. But we have to come from the marketing side of it.
I think it makes sense. I mean, the way I envision it is, doing, the one summit, one topic.
One summit, one topic, and creating a database in time.
And over time, you have more summits, more topics.
Yes.
And then you eventually have a database. And then, like you say, after 5 years, you've got 5 topics or whatever. And someone who's got whatever condition, oh, let me check out this summit. Oh, let me check out that one, and it's an easy foot in the door for people to get exposure to homeopathy, natural medicine at large, on what's possible for them.
My dear colleagues, I see talking together makes a lot of sense. I couldn't have thought of that on my own. I wouldn't have gone there. Great. I'm very pleased. Who actually did come up with this topic of going by diagnosis?
The beehive. The beehive.
The beehive. Hive mind. Okay, yeah.
Hive mind. Thank you, hive mind.
This is what it is all about, accessing hive mind, the human hive mind, because all the knowledge would be there. It's just that we are not trained to do these things consciously.
Moreover, for example, let's imagine the first summit on migraine, for example. So we have a summit, we have a brief video, and so on, and then we'll have an archive. First one summit in our project, okay? But what I can tell you, I'm making brainstorming with myself. So I have no answer. It is not a suggestion, it is a brainstorming. So I say this will be a very large container, and maybe that, of course, it will grow, and also the knowledge of this container will grow all over the world, let's hope. And in this way, maybe after 2 years or 3 years and so on, other colleagues will have something to say more about that subject. So don't you think it could be an option to make this a child open? So we'll have our summit, and then maybe there will be a interesting video testimonial more, or a colleague telling something more very interesting, or for example a paper on that subject, I don't know. But to make this archive open, I don't know, it is not a suggestion, it is an open mind, a brainstorming with myself.
This is not a technical problem. You can start with the summit and then go into an open base. Whether you do it on some kind of free membership or do it via the YouTube channel on one topic, it is possible. What do you say, Timothy?
Sorry, I add one thing. What I think is that in my mind, in my brainstorming mind, our project could become like YouTube for the videos, or like Spotify for music. I mean, yes, I am an homeopath from Brazil, for example, and I have something very astonishing, very interesting, and I know that I have to put it into Marianne project, in a Marianne site, because it's synonym of site where to share Homeo videos or Homeo experience useful to people, to lay people. This is my brainstorming idea.
Mm-hmm.
This is my vision.
Even that would be possible.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You just need
the future, not now, but maybe, of course, maybe. But what I think it could be empowered in this way. It could become a more complete project, a modular project, growing by itself. You put the seed and you fertilize the earth, and then something grows, even if you don't do too much, because we have put the seed once in past times.
And still, I would go with the quote of Professor Pradip Gupta, impossible is nothing. I wouldn't write homeopathy on top. I would write on top something catchy like impossible is nothing, which has no negative resonance for nobody. Timothy?
Yeah, I was just going to add to Paolo what you mentioned. As Marianne, as you mentioned, easy to add to any of the previous archives. And also, I think at some point there kind of has to be like a stopping point, because for any of these things, we could go down a rabbit hole forever of adding content. And just for a practical standpoint, being able to have not only depth, but also breadth in the topics that are covered so that we have a wider access point, and making sure that as much as possible, in our initial pass, that we have as deep as necessary of coverage so that it's really thorough. And there was something else I was going to say, but I like that. And it's easy to do that. Oh, and the testimonials, one of the ways that I see the testimonials really being used is actually in promotion of the summit. I see that as more of a before than an after.
Yeah.
I see those testimonials being short videos that are like, hey, check this out. Hey, this is possible. Hey, come and watch this video. So for me, the bulk of the value that I see in those testimonials is actually before the event, not after the event.
That can be added more after.
Of course, yes.
If other colleagues want to kick in. But this is advertising, I agree. And if anybody knows someone very wealthy who wants to set up, what is Stiftung in English? Something like a charity project on it?
What do you think? Should we start with, do we want 10 million, 20 million?
Oh.
100 million?
Doesn't matter, but it needs a lot of people to co-work on it. And there are wealthy people who want to promote homeopathy. And this would be a worthy project.
Mm-hmm.
Where we could add in all our knowledge, and Matthias could add in his knowledge. And we could do something together and have some layer behind, so that we don't have to care about, does this create money or not?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
My dear colleagues, we are hitting our end of the conversation. Do you want to say some final words?
I just want to say how wonderful this has been to chat with you guys and brainstorm and discuss possibilities. And Mariana, I think that is really, like you mentioned, it's really, conversations like this are necessary to move the profession forward and to really access that collective consciousness, the possibility to see larger than, our own thinking, and to really put a frame on things in the bigger picture. And so I think that that's really cool. I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of this. I'm delighted to have been able to speak with all three of you today. And I guess the thing I want to leave with is I'm really excited about where things are going. I know these are kind of wild times in the world, and thing that remains for me, Paolo, like you mentioned, is we've got seeds. Despite the environment of things that are happening, we've got these seeds that we have been planting, and we can now intentionally plant moving forward so that we can have this really fruitful garden of possibility. So I leave with optimism and excitement around what's next and what's possible.
The comments from our listeners are the same. Feeling very lucky to attend.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you.
Josef, Paolo,
Ja, nochmal in Deutsch. Wir sind alle miteinander verbunden. Es gibt und bei uns Menschen 23.000 Genome in jedem Menschen. Das heißt, jeder Mensch ist in Wirklichkeit gleich und es unterscheidet uns nur 1%, 230 Genome und macht uns so different. Und wenn wir alle miteinander verbunden sind, in der Wirklichkeit, in der wirklichen Wirklichkeit, dann müsste es möglich sein, diese Testimonials und auch die einzelnen Krankheitsbilder zu verdichten, zu sehen, was ist bei Patienten mit Ekzema möglich, was ist bei MS möglich, was ist bei Trigeminusneuralgie möglich, was ist möglich bei Headaches or Migraine and or heart disease or liver disease. And it is work for the future for our children's and our grandchildren's. And this is what I will do. Also, this is my motivation, not for me. I'm fine here. My motivation is, I think, for our children's and our grandchildren's. And we have die Verantwortung,
Oh, ich bin schlecht im Übersetzen heute. Jemand aus dem Chat, Verantwortung, Responsibility.
Yes. For the future. Was wir jetzt denken und was wir jetzt tun, geht 1:1 in das, was passieren wird.
What we are thinking now and what we are doing now is what we are experiencing in the future. And what he said in the beginning is that we are all connected. We all share the same genomes. We are really connected. And if we can live this connection in reality, then we really have something to share. Mm-hmm. And yes, it all starts with connection. And as Paolo said, the balance between the brains, and as Josef said, the balance between the doctors and the naturopaths and the clients and the appreciation. It's a balanced and connecting thing. And maybe some of you know, and maybe some don't, I'm a Liber. From the soul. Liber from
Libra.
Libra. And yes, this is all I'm interested in, balance.
I'm very grateful to you all. I'm very happy to have met you. And I do believe, and I've experienced the power of diversity. Each of us brings our part, our skills. Okay, and so the experience of Josef, the practical mind of Timothy represented a lot, both, and of course the leadership of Marianne in this project. And I think that just yesterday, because I really am in love with homeopathy. So I think that homeopathy is life, is everywhere. No? So I find myself frequently thinking about homeopathy and the connection between life and homeopathy. And I was thinking about the great amount that we are surrounded by radio waves. Okay, just in this precise moment we have, I could catch the radio waves of Radio Moscow, Radio Peking, and of I don't know, the president of the United States phone with his I don't know, his wife or something else, and so on. And it is only a matter of resonance, of being in tune with this specific. They're all here. It's crazy to think about that. No? They are all here. And it is only because you are synchronized in tune with this or that specific wave that you can catch it. And so I think this is also a metaphor of homeopathy. And it's also a way to explain homeopathy to the right way. But moreover, it is something that is with our meeting, because we are resonating, but each of us has its own skill and personal skill. And we, meeting all together, we can do something better, much better than me. This, I'm sure about this. Okay, so thank you very much.
And this is a comment we got from Meeta as well, who listened from India, that it is very good to come together and create possibilities and make a difference for the profession.
For the profession, yes. Me too. That's wow. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too. And it's always great to talk to colleagues all over the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Angelo is saying goodbye as well.
Yeah.
Bye, and thank you, everybody.
Bye. I thank you, Paolo, Timothy. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.